Welcome to Thursday Thoughts. Now this week, with the release of the 1250R from Code, I want to talk about how unimportant wind is for downwinding in ocean conditions. Now, obviously, for areas with shorter fetch, you're going to need wind to create your bumps, but in areas with longer fetch, so upwards of 20 to 50 Ks, wind blowing 3 hours before your downwind run is actually more important than the wind whilst you're downwinding. The 1250R really makes the most of any bump, and I did a run sort of trying to showcase how it was basically 5 knots of wind, and I was going past sailing yachts that were actually racing. Because I was not using the wind, I was using the swells. So I was down swelling, not downwinding. I think downwinding is important in downwind runs without any fetch or short amounts of fetch, but in the ocean where it's more important to look at the period, the direction, and obviously the wind direction helps too, because you don't want to be pumping up wind, but you can have really good runs with the wind offshore or onshore if the wind has been blowing the direction you're going whilst you're running. So anyway, have a look at the video. I sort of ramble on a bit, but it's a bit of a point of view downwind run, and hope you enjoy it. They're my thoughts for this week.
All right, so I did a car drop yesterday in the 5 to 10 knot nor'easter. The worst thing about yesterday's run was there was bugger all fetch. So while the wind actually came up pretty good by the end, like the conditions I'm having right now in less wind is actually 10 times better. So more wind isn't always better. It depends on the wind, like in the lead up to the run. So right now you can see there's like bugger all wind, but look at these bumps. They're epic. Now, because I had the 1250 already bolted on and it was basically glassy at the start, even for the first 2 or 3 Ks, I've got the 1250R on. But in these bumps I could be using a lot smaller. Good test to see how light it could be and how much, I guess, how light the conditions. It's a good test to see how light the conditions actually are, and how the 1250R can handle. Definitely feels like there's current against me, because these bumps, for the amount of wind, are actually decent. I'm doing like my quickest K so far is a 248, which isn't bad on a 1250. I think my quickest yesterday was like a 250. So I think there's more in it. Just got to line up one of these good bumps. But yeah, super interesting. No wind, or bugger all wind, less than yesterday, but much better bumps. So the sea state makes such a big impact on downwind foiling, not the wind. The wind at the time, obviously if it's super windy, there's going to be good bumps because the wind's forming it straight away. But sometimes I prefer wind 2 or 3 hours before than wind just starting as they go to get going. This is especially the case in I call it like medium fetch runs. So I'm including some bay runs, because some bay runs have like 20 to 30 Ks of fetch, and the wind that created these bumps here right now, it's probably blowing for 6 hours, maybe a little bit longer, 7 or 8. But there's a bugger all, it's pretty much flat on the beaches. So when there's less surf, less swell, the wind is going to make a bigger impact than I guess a lot of people, less impact than a lot of people think. You need a lot more wind. You need more wind in flatter conditions in the ocean. But when there's like a trade swell, kind of like in Hawaii, so that's a 256. So when there's a trade swell in Hawaii, or trade winds, where it's like blowing the same direction every day, that's when you get like this kind of style stuff. Even if there's no wind, it's going to be bumps. Unless there's like a cyclone or like a slackening of the easterly or northeasterly trades, then the bumps disappear. tides and currents can also affect it. But yeah, just a really interesting one. Not much wind. It's actually wind's coming from there, southwest. Not much wind, but a lot of bumps. More bumps than yesterday when there was more wind. They're my thoughts, rambled thoughts for this week. Yeah. How is it? Where are you guys racing to? Nice. I'll stay out of your way. Woo-hoo. No. Alrighty, so out here on the 1250R, which is, look, it's a pretty big foil. A lot of people would say too big for the conditions today. There's not a lot of wind, but there is some good size, a good period swell, I guess. So speed-wise, I've been going sort of as slow as 320 and then as fast as 230. But would you think a 1250 goes faster or slower than sailing yachts? One over there. There's one over there. There's a bunch behind me as well. I tell you what, I've been mowing them down because they're not making the most of the swells. They're just wind vessels. Whereas when we downwind on a foil, we're actually making the most of the swells. It's actually wind in my face right now, but because I'm using a swell and my legs to pump, I can go much faster than these big fancy sailing yachts that are actually racing to Pittwater. So foils are fast. They're seriously fast, and even a big old 1250R is a lot quicker than one of these big old sailing yachts. See if I can get a closer look. Okay, right, a nice little bump. Going past this sailing yacht. Not every day you find past the yachts. Today's one of those days. The 1250R is actually a pretty fast way to travel on the ocean. $12.50 for the win. Oh, lining one up here. Here we go. The wind's irrelevant right now. It's light enough, it doesn't matter which way the wind's going. I'm riding the swells. Having a blast. So stop worrying about wind strength when you're downwind. Look at the period and direction of the swell instead, because that's going to give you a better indication of whether you're going to have a good run or a bad run. Whew. Yeah. Just Collaroy. You guys going to Pittwater? Where'd you guys leave from? Oh, nice, out and back. Beautiful. How'd that inside line go for you? Oh, good on you, you're moving. Enjoy it.